we have a fascinating guest with us, a thinker, writer, speaker, traveler, and deep thinker. Whatever she thinks, she can easily convey to the people, inspiring the people with a charming personality and with a positive attitude. The moment she says something, definitely the people would obey that. The kind of influencer she is. Let's welcome Nikhila. Hi, Nikhila.
Hi,
How are you?
Priyanka. I'm doing well. How
Okay.
about you?
I'm doing well. Before we jump into the conversation, how would you or what would you start with?
I would start with something which is very close to my heart, which is a quote. I don't know if I've read it somewhere or it just occurred to me. It is extremely close to my heart, and that's the core of where I operate around with. So, which is if you find me, and then if I don't leave you better than what you find me for, I have no impact on you at all.
See, whatever she thinks, it will be related with the people and how to impact with on a positive way. This is what today our guest, Nikhila. Okay, you have a charming personality. And
Thank you.
do you think it would come based on our birth or born or something we can develop?
I feel charm is something which can be split into two ways, right? One is an innate charm, which you're born with, like a warm smile. You can't develop a smile as you grow further. But that warmth comes innately from a personality. And what I would say is developed charm is something you're putting your intentional, conscious awareness around yourself and how you're conducting yourself with people around you. And also something like social skills and storytelling. All these are developed charm.
Okay. How do you maintain this charm even under challenging period?
See, there is something called nature and nurture. What I talked about, the innate charm is my nature. Then if I don't nurture it every day, it just gets lost. So you will have to consistently work on yourself to get better of yourself as you move forward.
Are you doing anything special on an everyday basis? Could be learning, could be yoga or whatever. Any secret on that?
I would say cutting people a lot of slack, treating them human,
Cool.
giving room for error.
Okay. Nice. In that scenario, how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Interesting. 3 words. Can I use any language?
Any language.
Should I just stick to English?
Yes. No need.
No
You
need,
can-
right?
yeah.
All right. Okay.
But the only thing, if you use any other language,
I'll
please
have to explain what it is about. Of course, I would do that. So my first and the foremost word which I describe myself is Meraki. It is a Greek word.
Okay.
It means putting a little bit of yourself into everything you do. Either say it's work, speeches, having a conversation, putting your heart and soul into everything you do is what I strongly believe in.
Okay.
That is one of the words which I would like to describe myself in. Then the other one is fika, which is a Swedish word, which says living in the moment and appreciating the little joys around you.
Okay.
That's the second one. And the third word which I'd like to describe myself in is being empathetic. That's
Okay.
who I am.
Okay. So Greek, Swedish,
And English.
English. Any word from Indian language?
Any word from Indian language? I would go with my own mother tongue, I would say,
Yes.
Telugu. My own language is Santosham, which is happiness. That's the place where this whole world revolves around.
Writer, speaker, traveler, and a number of skills.
Yeah.
Which one comes first?
Well, writer comes first.
Writer.
Any day. Writer
Okay.
comes first.
Okay. So we will start with the writer experience. Normally, where would you take your core inspiration for
For
writing?
writing? Well, I can pick inspiration from anything around me. I can just stare at a leaf and that can inspire me some days. So it's again boils down to the word which I said, which I relate to the most, the Swedish word fika, which is observing and being there, present in the moment,
Okay.
and then taking the good part of everything around.
So what is the best part you have written so far, which changed some person? Have you ever experienced?
Well, I blog, not very regularly. I should do more often, which is my KPI,
Okay.
I would say. But I have a lot of my notes which are written and scribbled in my own notepads. Sometimes they make their way into my speeches and sometimes they make their way into my blog posts.
Yep.
Well, I do publish my blogs and I do share it with my friends and they say they like them. So that's
Okay.
where probably they change a little perspective of theirs of how they're looking at the world today.
Okay. Other than the digital medium, have you written anywhere in the press? Like,
There was one article of mine which was published in the Toastmasters magazine back in 2019, if I'm not wrong.
what is
The
it
year.
about?
It was about pathways. When the pathways was initially introduced, there was one path called leadership development path. And in Asia, I was one amongst the first people who actually finished the path.
Oh, wow.
So there was a journalist from US from Toastmasters.
Okay.
She's interviewed me for over an hour and then they published my name in the journal.
Okay.
Toastmasters.
Any achievements so far you are thinking, this is my achievement from Toastmasters? What would be?
Achievement from Toastmasters. I've been to a lot of contests, I would say, but what I took away from the contest rather than, I would not quantify trophies as my takeaways from the contest, but a lot of learnings, which I learned from multiple brilliant speakers who I've encountered with, and I've made some lovely friends for life.
Okay.
That's what I would say are the biggest achievements which I've met across the contests.
Okay. One of the discussion you mentioned the contest in our organization. What was the contest and what did you achieve from it?
Oh yeah, so that's a very interesting thing which you brought up. So I was randomly contacted by some person about some contest which was going on environment, and they reached out to me saying that there was a table topics contest which was going on in SOTA, Singapore School of Arts.
Okay.
So then we ended up there. There was a balloting system for the contest, and interestingly, my name got picked in that ballot. And I contested in that contest. And there were school kids, there were all age group kids who were there. And then there were like super experienced speakers. And it was backed by Millionaire Speaking Committee or something like that. Okay. But it was very interesting contest, which I got away with a little runners-up prize from that.
So what was the contest title? Is there any title or?
It was on the Go Green campaign, around Go Green campaign. Okay. Another interesting contest which I participated in was in City. It was a very interesting one because it asked you to go back to your childhood days and if you can quote a line, what differently would you have done? So I said, I would have built more bridges and broke more walls.
Okay.
That is what
What was the line or the core behind on that?
Core behind it is that we always unintentionally build a lot of bias bridges, bias walls in front of us before we start viewing a person or letting them enter into your space. Even before that, you've already formed a perceived opinion about that person. So that ideally should not be the way where we go forward with. So that's where I was thinking of making a bridge rather than building a wall. So I would rather break more walls of that perspective of preconceived notion of viewing people with certain lens and building little bridges to let them walk through and come to you.
Okay. If your life is like a book, what would be the title for the book?
Interesting question. Title for the book, I'd say Flutter of a Butterfly, because it can be ignored because it's so insignificant in the chaotic world we live in. But that flutter of the butterfly can cause an irrevocable damage as well, and impact, I would say. I would not say damage there.
Have you ever felt the audience, something you felt like the audience didn't like it?
Didn't like it?
Yeah. How would you face that challenge, or what would you change while speaking?
Oh, okay. So can I quote about a speaking disaster,
Something
whichever you
right.
Well, I can go back to my school days. We were all, me and a couple of my friends, we were planning to come up with a skit, a drama, to which would be played for an annual day fest or something. So, but our concept of the skit came from the place where everybody else is doing something we should also do, rather than we should do something. So we were not prepared at all. So I was the first person who went onto the dais, and after my dialogue delivery, the other person would come up, and that's how the skit was supposed to be built up. And I went onto the dais and I changed the language of the script. That was the disaster, which I have no redemption to till date. We didn't go further in the skit. They just said that we needed more rehearsal. But then the skit was supposed to be in Hindi and I started my dialogue in English. So that's where it ended. There's no redemption from it.
As a speaker, right, a person has to bond with the speaker skills.
I will point it back to your very first question, which is about the charm.
Okay.
It's very similar to that. So some skills are innately built from your birth, and some other skills are definitely developed on the way. Some innately built skills is something like your presence, your aura, your presence that cannot really be developed. But something which can be developed is how you intentionally build your speaking skills and come up with an experienced content, which is what defines you as a better speaker. Even if you have a presence and you cannot come up with the content, which is definitely a developed skill,
Okay.
I don't think so that will make you a holistic speaker.
As a speaker, like if you have 30 minutes, you need to talk to the people.
Okay.
Under which topic would you?
Multiple topics.
Top one.
Top one would be about emotional quotient.
Okay.
About emotional quotient and breaking bias would be my topic any day.
Great. The emotional quotient, since we talked about that. While writing or while speaking, which one comes to you first? Emotional or the intellectual, which you have read it from book?
I think EQ comes first
EQ
any day. Any day EQ comes first for me.
So EQ or IQ, which one you prefer always?
I would not give away, I would not throw the IQ part in the dustbin, but I would retain it somewhere just next to the EQ.
Okay.
That will always take the precedence.
If you could time travel, you definitely we always
Yeah.
wanted to have it.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
Can I say I would want to make multiple stops in that time machine? This is going to be a not so much of a fun subject, but a little deep, and which is sad in most of the times. I would like to time travel and be the secret whisperer in all those teens' years whoever committed suicide. I would want to be their secret whisperer that can make that little difference that they just don't go ahead with that decision at all.
Nice.
That's where I want to go.
Nice. That's a good one. See, always her thinking is roaming around with the people and I have to make them very happy. This is what our guest. When we are thinking about the emotional side, have you ever unload or unlearn any particular skill of your skills?
Logic flies out of the window
Uh-huh.
when you are practically speaking about only handling emotions sometimes. I would quote my toddler, my 3-year-old now, in one such very interesting scenario where we bought a small soft toy from the zoo when we had gone, and then she picked up that and we bought it home. And my helper told her that it was porcupine, and she kept calling it porcupine. My husband also supported that it was porcupine, and she kept calling. Only 2 days later is when I realized that she was actually calling a hedgehog porcupine. So I went back to the root cause of the problem, which is I corrected my husband and my helper that that's not porcupine and that's a hedgehog. I told them twice each while my toddler was watching all of this. And then I went to her. I told her, baby, this is hedgehog and it's not porcupine. Can you please repeat it? It was a little difficult for her to pronounce hedgehog. So she said it twice, hedgehog and hedgehog. And she couldn't say it any further. Then she looked me into my eyes and then she said, Mama, this is porcupine. And this is porcupine, okay? That's when I realized, okay, when people are not really comfortable with the logic what you're presenting to them, it doesn't make any sense for them to follow the logic. They might just give in to the fact that you're ranting over it, but they might not really follow it.
Right. That is
So
true.
that's when I started unlearning things wherein you have to ensure that you have to put in more effort
Correct.
to get it across people rather than just shoving it down their throat.
That's right. Yeah. You have so much of experience with a lot of places traveling, learning books and everything. And now 3 years baby in front of you. Have you ever made any mistake in terms of parenting?
Every day. There is no room for being a perfect parent, right? We are all learning and we do learn only when we fall,
Right.
when we make mistakes.
Right.
That's when we learn.
Or just one positive thing about the parenting, which most of the parents would disagree. Which one would be?
Which most of the parents would disagree is not raising your voice.
Yeah.
Not raising your voice at your kids when they are raising their voice at you and then they are throwing a huge tantrum at you. I am consciously doing it. I'm still learning. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm there yet. But I consciously be extremely silent when the tantrum is going on. And I just try and reason it out why and where this whole tantrum started. So I just try and go to the root cause and try to fix it there. Probably I'll try telling my toddler, okay, instead of crying, maybe you can try telling what you need. Now that you know how to talk, maybe you can tell me what you need. So the third cry comes out, but the fourth time she calms down and she tells me what she wants. So that's how I'm trying to build that rapport with my toddler.
Nice, nice. Writer, speaker, deep thinker on the EQ, IQ, parenting. Now, let's move on to the traveler side.
All right.
I know that you are traveled more than 25 countries.
Yes, we did.
Can you tell about why and why are you doing that?
Why did we do that travel? Mostly because me and my partner, we were adventure seekers. So we went out of our way to Arctic. I've ran on the glaciers. I've done the most craziest adventure activities. But I would say every time we came back from travel, it definitely broadened our perspective towards life and a huge lot of respect towards people of multiple cultures and multiple demographics, and the way they think, the way they act. We started giving them a room for error. It's like, okay, maybe the brought up and the culture is extremely different. Probably that's the reason why somebody is behaving a certain way. So that is the kind of perspective where you broaden only when you travel and then you meet multiple people from different cultures.
What is a fun fact about yourself which people don't know about you?
Only if people are extremely close to me, like my extremely close friends, is what they know about this crazy fun fact about me, that I'm a huge prankster.
Okay.
And April 1st is my most favorite day across the year. And I innovate all my pranks to an extent that I land them always, every year on all my friends who are extremely close to me.
Have you embarrassed by others? Like when you do the prank?
And I'm absolutely okay with that, because whenever you do a prank, you should be ready to take the retaliation, which will come back in a more ruder format or more harsher format sometimes at you. But I'm okay. It's all in the fun and game. Yeah.
Okay. Any interesting prank?
Yeah, of course I did. So what I did, I gave an envelope to one of my friend. I said, I have a emergency meeting and I can't step out, and there'll be another person who'll be coming to the lift lobby and collecting this envelope. Can you please go there and stand? And 10 minutes later, that friend is still standing there and I'm laughing at my desk. I text them, can you please open the envelope? And there was an April Fool card written in that envelope.
Nice.
So yeah, and people hate me for that, but yeah, that's what I do.
Please do not, normally the adventures, please do not try at your home, right? But this one you can try.
Yeah.
Provided you are trying with the correct person, not with the police or any harm person.
Yeah, I mean, be ready to take a beating if it gets to that.
Nice. And what is the one thing people should not stop on their learning? Which one could be?
Never stop being curious. Never stop being curious, and don't go back on laughing at your own self. It's okay. Keep it easy, keep it light, and you should always find something in your life where you are nobody.
Right.
That is exactly the place where your learning will start. You cannot be an expert in one place and just sit there. You have to find another forte where nobody knows you. You are like nobody, and you can laugh at your own blunders and still get to it and still keep going.
Nice. As a writer, if you want to collaborate or you have to collaborate with author, who would be? Either dead or alive, anyone?
All right. When it comes to a poet, I would say Rudyard Kipling is one of my all-time favorite. And there is, he's an English poet. There is a poem called If. If you come across that poem, please go through that. That's one of the outstanding poem which touches every walk of life, and it is relatable to every person living today. So that is one person. But lately I've developed a fascination towards a young author who's the author of Psychology of Money, is Morgan Housel. He's written his second book, Same as Ever. I'm yet to finish the second book. I finished the first one. I love his narration skills because they are extremely relevant and related to the life stories. And he talks about finances and investments. It's supposed to be an extremely dark and boring subject, but he makes it so interesting. And his in his own words, right? All the important financial decisions at home are made on the dining table, not really on the calculator.
Yeah.
So that's what kept me gripped on this author.
Okay.
He gives a lot of stories. It's a very interesting book. If you get a chance, you should read it.
So Psychology of Money.
Psychology
Yeah.
of Money.
And recently in Tamil Nadu, Psychology of Money book is recommended by the famous actor
Oh,
Aravind Sam.
oh, lovely.
After that, if you go to the Amazon bookstore, like a lot of people, they purchased that.
Yeah,
Right.
the sales have gone up. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we finish our conversation, do you have anything to the audience which could be very interesting or fun or learning, or what is the takeaway for them?
Absolutely. So I can tap on one of my recent speeches in Toastmasters. That's where this whole journey has begun. So I would like all of you to get a paper and pen.
It's an assignment for you all.
And for you too?
Okay. Okay.
All right. So let me tell you a very quick story. It was one of the very usual working day where it was an extremely packed day where I had only 30 minutes for lunch, and it was an extremely packed pantry. So I could find a small corner for myself, which was a 2-seater, and I was gobbling on my takeaway salad lunch, while there was one person who came across and said if they can share the seat with me. I offered very generously because there was no other space available around me. The person sits down, they open the lunch box, and it was so aromatic and gushing, colorful lunch box. And I was like, oh, I wish I'd known this person, we could have shared food. Then me being me, I introduced myself, and the person said their name was V. V. I was quite surprised with just an alphabet being a person's name. And then they caught that surprise in me, and they said, don't worry about it. I get that a lot. But then the conversation built up, and then I curiously asked if that lunch was prepared because their parents were in town or somebody from back home had come down. But that person said, not really, because they prepared that lunch specially for their other half, who was working extremely late in the night, and they haven't been having food much lately. But the conversation was so eloquent and so full of understanding rather than a rant that the other party is not spending time with them or they are extremely busy at work. None of that came across. It was just pure understanding of the other person working hard but still loving their job, and this person being extremely supportive of their partner. That was how this whole conversation went, and I was extremely thrilled to have such people around me. Now, the task for all of you audience and you, Tia, is that, can you draw this person?
So it starts with V. If you want to hear more, please go back and hear the story again.
Again?
It's for me as well. I will do it later.
Draw, and I would like you to do this assignment with a couple of your friends together. Each of you draw your own person V and then exchange your papers to see what gender do they belong to, what age group do they come across, and how do they look according to you. That paints a vivid picture about the kind of biases which we have in our heads today. And this story was absolutely entitled for breaking those biases, what we build in our heads more than we say it out loud.
That's amazing. See, you don't need to be a painter. You can think, or you can challenge your brain. What is there? Okay, come up and comment it as well if you could. Okay, we are at the end. Is there anything else? I know you are good in puzzle as well.
Yeah.
Can you give another puzzle?
Oh, absolutely, I can.
And she's not a math teacher anymore.
I am not a math teacher. I love math though. All right. With that bias breaker thing, I would like to conclude with another additional puzzle which you guys can write and solve. A bunch of crazy elements of the periodic table like silvery 28, radioisotopic 19, starry 1, and a heavy 53, joining half a century of Romans, gearing up to meet Alpha of Greece. This is all about me. If you can decode this puzzle, maybe you're already my friend.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. Hope you'll take this challenge. It's not a punishment, right? Just interesting facts. The fun and puzzle, this is what this is a world, and how she portrayed the puzzle. And if you finish that puzzle, already you are one of the friend for her. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Nicola, we are at the end. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we have talked about a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And hope our audience will enjoy with this puzzle and with a takeaway.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for this opportunity. It was wonderful to have this conversation across multiple genres which we have touched upon. Thank you so much.